Welcome to Lead with Clarity. This is a space for leaders who want to grow without losing themselves in the process. Each episode is a short reflection on leadership, influence, and the inner work that shapes how we show up for others. It's not hype, not noise, just clear thinking for the journey of leading well. Today's episode is entitled Why Mattering Beats Passion, the Katharine Graham Leadership Standard. Here we go. There's a version of leadership that treats seriousness and joy as opposites. You may have lived in that version. The one where if the work is important, it has to feel heavy, where enjoying your job somehow means you're not taking it seriously enough. Katharine Graham didn't buy that. She ran the Washington Post through some of the most consequential moments in American journalism. Watergate, a public stock offering, a pressman's strike that threatened to shut the paper down. She carried decisions that most of us will never have to carry. And here's what she said about the work. To love what you do and feel that it matters, how could anything be more fun? Sit with that for a moment. Not, how could anything be more important? Not, how could anything be more demanding? But more fun. She's naming something a lot of leaders forget to look for. Here's the leadership moment underneath that line. Graham took over the post after her husband's death in an era when almost no women ran major companies, let alone newspapers. She wasn't groomed for the job. She grew into it, publicly, under scrutiny, while making decisions that carried legal and financial risk. That's not a comfortable position. And she still found the work to be a source of fulfillment, not just a source of pressure. Now, here's where most people misread this. They hear love what you do, and they think it's about passion. Find your passion, follow your passion, chase the thing that lights you up. That's a nice idea, but it's incomplete. And honestly, it puts the emphasis in the wrong place. Passion is about how you feel. Graham's line is about something sturdier. She says, love what you do and feel that it matters. The second part is the real engine. Mattering isn't a feeling you chase. It's something you build through the weight and consequence of the work itself. So here's a reframe. This isn't a quote about finding a job you love. It's a quote about building work you can believe in. Those are different projects. One is about your internal state. The other is about the actual substance of what you're doing and who it serves. For leaders, that shifts the responsibility. It's not enough to hope your team finds meaning on their own. Part of your job is making the mattering visible, connecting the daily grind, the reports, the meetings, the deadlines, back to something real. When people can see that thread, the hard days get easier to carry. When they can't, even easy days start to feel pointless. This matters just as much, maybe more, if you're leading in an environment where AI tools are doing more of the routine work. Automation can hand you back hours in your week. It cannot hand you a sense of purpose. It cannot tell your team why what they do is worth doing. That is still yours to build, exactly as much it was for Graham decades ago, before any of these tools existed. The tools change. The responsibility to make work matter does not. Here's a carry forward reflection. Think about your own week, not your title, not your responsibilities on paper, but the actual hours. How much of that time connects to something you'd call meaningful, and how much is just motion? And then ask the harder question. Does your team know why their work matters? Or have you assumed that they would figure it out on their own? Graham's line is deceptively simple, but it holds a real leadership discipline inside of it. Love what you do, make sure it matters, and take responsibility for making that mattering visible to the people who work alongside. That's not soft. That's one of the hardest parts of the job, and one of the ones that pays off the longest. That's the reflection I'll leave you with today. Love what you do, feel that it matters, and remember that as a leader, building that sense of mattering for your team is part of the work too.